Hey everybody, welcome to TI3, where we at Thomas Institute break down the most complex of ideas into 3 minutes or less. In this series, which Bible version should I use? I respond to one of the most frequently asked questions I get from friends, from viewers, and from students. So, let's jump in. When it comes to choosing a Bible version, English readers have their pick of the litter. We are absolutely spoiled, and that's part of the problem. There are literally hundreds of Bibles available, but for the most part, there are only around a dozen or so that you've probably ever heard of. In this series, I'm going to share 10 of the most commonly used English Bible versions, and my apologies in advance if I don't cover yours. Because I like you, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. What you have to understand about many English Bibles is that they are very traditional. For instance, a lot of people think that Bibles just have one major goal. They're going to translate the original Greek and Hebrew as literal as possible. I'm sorry to be the one to break it to you, but that's not the way it necessarily works. I teach courses on Bible translation, and there are lots of different ways that translators translate the Bible. For instance, as we will discuss in other videos, being literal is not always the goal of a Bible translation. Also, before many English translations ever consult the original Hebrew or Greek, they turn to the mother of all English-speaking Bibles, the King James Version. The King James Version, or KJV, is the elephant in the room when English speakers are translating a new Bible. Translators don't want to step on anybody's toes, and they know that a lot of people love the King James Version, and they would reject any new biblical kid on the block that tries to outperform it. And this is nowhere more apparent than when we think about the New King James Version, or NKJV. The New King James Version was first published in 1982 by Thomas Nelson, which is an historic publishing house that was acquired later by HarperCollins. Now, I don't know why it took translators so long to realize that the King James Version no longer indicated how people speak today, especially given that it was published when William Shakespeare was still alive. At any rate, the purpose of the translation had little to do with making a fresh and a contemporary English Bible translation. What it really had to do with was updating all of the thees and all of the thous and all of the thines. Dontest thouest agreeest? Or maybe you don't, and that's fine too. As the preface of the New King James Version indicates, the translators have not pursued a goal of innovation. In fact, they argue that they are doing exactly what the original translators of the King James Version were doing all the way back in 1611, which was merely updating a previous English Bible translation, the one that was translated by William Tyndale in the 1500s. Whatever the case, one of my primary concerns is that the New King James Version doesn't really sound like the way people speak today. At least, I don't know anyone who speaks that way. Instead, it's more of a renovation of the way people spoke about 500 years ago. But in this way, I actually like the bold approach the New King James Version is taking. They knew that they would never please the purists who kind of look to the King James Version like painters do to the Mona Lisa. And they also knew that they would never please the more contemporary readers who want an accessible translation that sounds exactly how they speak. So, if that's the case, then who exactly is the New King James Version for? Well, I would recommend it for anyone who loves the style and cadence of the King James Version, but sometimes finds the Shakespearean English daunting, or who believes that the Byzantine text tradition is the most historically accurate. And if none of that makes sense to you, hey, no worries. Just be sure to watch the next videos where we will go into more detail about not only the most popular Bible translations, but also the Hebrew and Greek texts that serve as the basis for our Bibles. I'll see you then.